Good morning. I hope you guys have a great Saturday. But I'm going to start off with the verse, which is 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and the spirit of a sound mind. That's important because when you're being gang stalked, you should remember that with God, you have the power. And you also have the power to be kind and loving and caring, even though you're going through so much heartache and so much tribulation because of other people's judgment or other people's bad doing that has, been pondered off basically onto you. And the spirit of, a sound mind. God doesn't want you to be fearful. He wants you to know that he has you, and no matter what anyone does, or no matter what anyone tries, it's like he says, the what is it? The weapon formed against you shall not prosper. So whatever your enemies try to do isn't going to work, and especially when they're doing it to be malicious and harmful and trying to hurt one of God's, children purposely. So always seek God. But I'm gonna start off by giving you a scenario of an instant where I know that these gang stalking people are involved, because when you're being gang stalked, a lot of these people are very higher up people in the community that are well respected in the community, that have like good jobs or good leadership roles, or that have the ability to hire and fire people, and like things of that situation. So um the company that I worked for before got shut down, so I'm at this limbo where I'm having to look for jobs, and it was hard for me to find a job. Mind you, I'm in the middle of being game stalked, and one of their goals is to make sure you don't have a way to financially take care of yourself. So I go to this temp service, and obviously the temp service is involved. I end up finding out later on, but they end up sending me to like this warehouse where this warehouse is fixing to close down. So they hired me to be a forklift driver. So I get there, and like I start realizing right away, like people are coming in and out of the warehouse, which is to be expected because the warehouse is closing down. People are coming from out of town, and like I started finding it weird because one of the guys that I was working with ended up getting a phone call, and I could clearly hear the phone call, and I realized he noticed I could hear. Well, the voice on the other end of the phone call I obviously recognized. So as soon as I recognized the voice, I'm like, what? So I'm like looking at him, and he sees me, and I can see him feeling very awkward because he knows like I've clocked him, like I. So he walks away, and he's like, I can hear him say, yeah, she's here. So you just have to be very vigilant of what's going on and like what's happening around you. Anyway, like this person was from out of town, but the reason for this is because when you think, like when you leave, like if I were to leave my city and my state here, these are big organizations. These are big, whatever you want to call them, cults or yeah, organizations, groups of people, and they're not just in your state and in your city. They're from everywhere. They're connected everywhere. So if you were to try to leave your city or state and move to another place to start all over, maybe at first it would seemingly feel like, okay, I'm going to get my life back on track and everything's going to go well. But then, like, these people will end up finding out who you are or what your name is. And, like, so they are sending people from other places to come and make sure that they can visually see you. Especially me, because I know with me, my looks kind of change quite a bit. Like I like to change my hair color, or like my weight fluctuates up and down. And I think for me, for them personally, it's probably better for them to come and see me, in person than over a picture. But um yeah, I was working in this warehouse, and I realized that there's people, new faces constantly coming in and out, and I can see that they're obviously looking at me or trying to go into my area to see, what I'm about. One of the people that I worked with in this particular facility, was asking questions that I felt like, most people wouldn't just ask. So obviously he was trying to get some intel on me to see like what I was going to say, where I was at, who I knew, and in those instances, you just have to play along with the game. Tell them what you and I battled with this back and forth because I'm like, God, I'm not trying to be a liar, but at the same time, if lying is what's going to keep me safe, then that's what I'm going to do. And I feel like God's understanding to that. Like he understands, but then at the same time, like in my head, I'm thinking, well, if I'm not being honest, is it because I am being fearful? And when you stand with God, you're not supposed to be fearful. So I battle a lot and I still battle a lot with some of the things that I have to do and say. But at the end of the day, I feel like obviously God knows my heart. He knows my soul. He knows my intentions. And He knows I'm not trying to be deceitful. I'm not trying to lie, but I'm also trying to keep safe. I'm also trying to play along with their game, basically, even though they, once you start catching on to what they're doing, they start catching on like, oh, she knows, so she's playing along with it. And sometimes they don't know if I'm saying the truth or if I'm not or what I'm doing, which that's the way I personally think it should be. But um to each their own. I'm just trying to give y'all little scenarios of like how I've stayed alive as long as I have, because I will say I've been at least gain stalked for about a year and a half to 2 years now, maybe. um I didn't realize it until about maybe almost a year ago, maybe not even, maybe 8 months ago, maybe I realized it. But as I looked back on scenarios and things, and I'm like, oh wow, I remember this face, I remember that person, I remember. And I'm starting to realize like, oh, this scenario made sense and this makes sense now. And like, and it's also my discernment that God has given me when I pray to God and I ask him, please give me clear discernment. Let me use my eyes for clarity and, my heart to truly be understanding of what's really going on, and don't let my heart be deceitful to me. So if I have to use my intuition, let my intuition kick in and like let me just really know God. And like I talk to God constantly, asking God constantly for reassurance if what I'm feeling is correct or if what I'm not feeling isn't correct. And people will sit here and say, God doesn't talk to you. God, you're crazy. You're losing your mind. But I'm not saying God is literally talking to me. But when I pray to God and I ask God for scenarios, I will say those scenarios are answered. Whether it's through something that someone said or through the universe or something I read in a Bible or something I read in a book or something that, maybe I wrote down on my own in my thoughts, writing it down, and I go back read it and I'm like, there's my answer. God just gave me my answer. So um it could be a various of things, that it's something you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and it gives you the answer that you were asking for. To me, those are instances where I feel like, okay, God came to me and God talked to me. That's his way of coming to me and letting me know, giving me that confirmation that I need. But yeah, because people that you wouldn't think would be involved, like your loved ones, maybe your ex-husband, maybe your family members, your ex best friend, your coworkers, people that, really know who you are for the most part and know that you're a kind, nice person, and that some of these people you've helped, I've helped, I can't even, because when I help people, I do it out of the kindness of my heart. So I don't go out and like, oh, I help this person, I help that person, I done this and I done that, but a lot of the people that I know are involved, I'm like, wow, I've helped you, I've given to you, why would you do this to me, but it's, the root of all evil is money. And obviously these people are struggling. And some people may not be struggling, they just want more and more money because it's the greed in them, and obviously they haven't seen God the way they should. But because if you see God the way you should, you know that God will give you everything that you need. And if you're really good to God, he'll also give you what you want. You keep your faith in God and just believe that, God is there and he's listening and he knows what your heart desires and what you're capable of handling. But my that's just my opinion. Yeah, but this is one of the scenarios where I figured out, like, okay, that person on the other end of that phone sounded a lot like a lover that I had. And I know this particular lover because I was with him for 13 years. And it's just instance like that where you're like, wow, okay. But I don't clock it out loud, but I'll look at these people where I'm like, okay, I see you. Because I remember after that situation of the guy being on the phone and stuff, every day prior to then, he was like working right beside me. And after that situation, I could tell where he felt awkward. And he was like, not really wanting to come around as much, or he would because he was like my boss. So he would go over and he would just be real direct and like walk away. But I'm like, okay, because then you clock their like behavior too. Like at first, before he realized that I caught on and I heard the conversation or that I heard the other voice on the phone, like he was trying to be around me constantly. He was working right beside me, micromanaging basically. Um, but then once that situation happened, he got very distant and like was leaving me on my own to do the jobs that I needed to do, which anyway was better for me. But yeah, you just have to be very vigilant of what's going on around you and know that you can't trust everyone, especially when you're in a situation like this. I would say don't trust anyone. Put your guard up and just know like anyone at any moment can be the person that's trying to come at you or that's trying to hurt you or that has an agenda towards you for whatever reason, whether they know you or not. Because, they're all in it for one motive, and that's money. But yeah, you guys have a good day.